So many of these places are just honestly filled with a lot of garbage.
And you can make that thing just the worst sub ever, where it's like 100 grams of fat and very minimal protein.
So they just had 17 to 1900 calories, but they did choose the right place.
Now we're going to jump into our primary question, because it's Motivation Monday, formerly known as Mailbox Monday, where we answer your questions. And once again, a quick reminder, you can submit a question. We have a link that'll take you right to where you can submit a question, nice and easy, to our website. That way we'll have that and we can actually feature that on the show. But for our first question of the week, we have: what are some of the best fast food options? I'm on the road a lot and find wherever I look, I don't end up making the right choices. Do you have any tips?
Yeah, great question, because I know a lot of people can relate to this, myself included. It's funny because years and years ago, when Josh and myself started to do our work days, this was, let's say 12 years ago, we tried to figure out, how can we choose a good option where we can, easily stay on track, we can hit our protein, we can feel great, and we can have some good discussions and not have to bring a meal prep container or have it interrupt our day. And so essentially where we started, I'll never forget, it's actually near my house, is called Fat Bastard Burrito. We used to have that quite often, and I'll never get out of my head that there's a place right beside called Filthy Phillies. And Josh laughs because I always make fun of it, but I'm like, I've never stepped foot in that place. I've always just got a burrito bowl. And it's funny because that was the habit that created what we would typically do, is look for a healthy bowl option. And that's my main tip. Something I want to really give you today to think about is that if you can do something where you can build your own and look for something where you can mainly have chicken as your protein source, that will be the greatest place to start, because so many of these places are just honestly, truly, and I hate to talk down on them, but filled with a lot of garbage. And it is so hard to succeed when there's tons and tons of oils where they just build something for you and there's no option to make your choices and to kind of tell them the sauces to choose, and maybe say, hey, I'm just going to grab a scoop of rice and that type of stuff. Is when you can build it, it makes such a big difference. So for us, we typically look for that. And even today, we found in our local mall, it's a place called Poulet Rouge, where it's just like 6 toppings. You can choose a base. So we did half brown rice and half kale. And then you get double chicken, which is awesome. And it is just such a good, clean, healthy meal that energizes me for this podcast. It supports my fitness goals. And there's so many of these places, right? They're hard to find, I will say. Even in my other local mall, there's a place it's either called I'm Perfect or Imperfect. I don't actually know, but it's a similar option. It's very clean. It's very healthy, at least as healthy as it can be. And by us choosing these types of options, it makes it so much easier to succeed. Now, where it gets tough is obviously there's a time component to a lot of this, right? So most people, when they think of being on the road, on the go, they're always thinking, how can I grab something? How can I eat it while I'm on the go? How can I eat it like within 2 seconds? And that's where I think a lot of people get stuck, is they typically think of fast food as, I'm going to go through a McDonald's drive-thru, a Taco Bell drive-thru, a KFC drive-thru, whatever the case is, and they're just going to eat it on the go, and they're just going to feel horrible. They're not going to be having their protein goals supported. They're going to end up gaining weight over time just because of a lack of planning. And so that's why I will say, if you can give yourself an extra 5 to 10 minutes to just look for that extra awesome option, you'll be in such a better spot. And my second thing here is, if you can potentially choose like a sub option, right? Like there's a lot of different places that can maybe do like a sandwich or a sub. Those are potentially good options as long as you choose the right stuff. And that's what I will have to say with like a bonus tip here, is that if you go into a Firehouse Subs and you choose a meatball sub, and Josh chooses a hook and ladder sub, which is like turkey and like just loaded with, I think it's close to 70 grams of protein. I could be mistaken, but it's pretty high. There's a very big difference between the two choices there, which is what's going to satiate you and help support your fitness goals. And that's something to be mindful of, is when you do choose these options, you have to still not only choose the right place, but you have to choose the right thing there, which is also very challenging for a lot of people.
Yeah, I find you have to play around with it more than anything. So everyone has different restaurants in their country, their space, their city, whatever it may be. And you can try something and see the options. And most importantly, it's not necessarily a place being good. It's what you order at that place. You can go to like a Subway and you can make that thing just the worst sub ever, where it's like 100 grams of fat and very minimal protein and just not positive for you. Or you can make better decisions and you can make it better, and you can obviously adjust it to your situation. Then there's also the quality of the food, and that's a whole different component. But more than anything, I like to look at what will support my macros, what's actually good for me, and what's going to leave me feeling satisfied. So obviously I'm optimizing for protein first, then I'm optimizing for fiber and other macros. And fiber is a good catch-all for food quality. Most generally, foods high in fiber are pretty high quality foods. And if you're eating fast food that's very minimal in fiber, the quality of that food is obviously going to be a lot lower. So these are the things you kind of want to look at. But even like a Chipotle, I could go there, I could order basically just like a chicken burrito. I get two burrito, like two tortillas, that'd be 600 calories. I'd get the chicken, which would be awesome. I'd feel really good that I did that. I could skip or I could get extra rice. I could skip the beans, and I could just load it with queso. And like right away, the quality of that is going to be a little bit different, right? Like we're already looking at a ton of calories here, and you can easily ramp that up quite high and dilute the quality. Whereas you can be a little bit more controlled. You get a bowl, you get a little less rice, you get the beans, you could go double meat, lots of veggies, skip the queso, and like you can get a lower calorie, higher protein bowl. But it really depends based on where you're at and your goals. If you're someone who needs a lot of calories, double tortilla is awesome when you're in a bulk. Like those 600 calories of carbs can be an awesome way to force in calories if you're bulking. So that's where it's not that like certain places are necessarily good or bad. You can make it work at any of them, especially ordering around it. Like even Subway, not many people know it, but you can do a salad and you just get a ton of veggies, and then you can just pick a meat on there and have a chopped salad, and like that can be a very accessible option. McDonald's, obviously it's going to be harder to make a good decision per se, but there are better decisions you can make than not. And I think what's nice is when you find your staples, it's a lot easier just to have those in your back pocket, and you can always look for those when you're in the road or when you're in a certain area. Like for us, we'll go to different gyms, and around those gyms when we work, we'll have different places that we know are like better options, so that it stops us from feeling like we're stuck and we don't know what to do and eating garbage.
And I think it's very powerful that Josh actually mentioned that, because I know so many people who will say, hey, Kyle, you'd be so proud of me. I went to so-and-so place, and then I've seen all the potentially bad decisions that have been made. And it's funny because people don't do it on purpose. They just don't realize, right? And like, even as an example, we've been to Chipotle thousands of times. I've never tried the queso. I've never tried the brisket, the stuff that like, I think they have pulled pork, all that stuff. It looks so good, but I'm like, I just need to pick things that are going to support my fitness goals and what's going to be tried and true, right? And like I put together an example of, even once again, someone will say, hey, you'd be so proud. I went to Chick-fil-A. I listened to your tips. I went there. I decided to go out of the way. I added a little bit of extra time so I knew I wasn't going to be rushed. And I chose some good food. I got chicken there, right? And so two examples here. The one person that I'm just explaining here got the crispy chicken sandwich, the large fries. They got a cookie as well, just because they look so good and they taste so good. And then they got a regular Coke. So they just had 17 to 1900 calories, but they did choose the right place. Like Chick-fil-A typically is a pretty good place that you can incorporate, and it can support your goals very easily, right? And then another person decided to choose the grilled sandwich. They still got fries, right? They still got a small fries just because, you know, they do taste great. And they got a diet lemonade, 700 to 800 calories. And by the way, I didn't mention the Chick-fil-A sauce. I actually forgot about that. But the first person ended up having 3 of them just because they wanted on the fries and the sandwich. So they're over 2,000 calories. But the point I'm trying to make is that when it comes to these places, you just have to log in advance. You have to look at the menu. You have to choose wisely. And the truth is, you have to avoid letting the temptation get to you, because it's one thing to step foot into the place and get yourself there when there's other options, but it's another to make that right decision when you see other people having things, when you look at maybe an ice cream cone that you see that's like, oh, that would be good to have afterwards. It's very challenging. And I always love to use the example of a mall, right? Because if you were absolutely starving and you had no food around, and I said, hey, go to Poulet Rouge, go to whatever the bowl place is, the really healthy spot, you'd be like, absolutely, I can do that, no problem. But once I throw in 13 other places that are greasy and high in calories into the equation, a lot of people's willpower and discipline just goes down to nothing. They're like, oh, well, I'd rather Taco Bell, I'd rather New York fries, I'd rather all these other things. And it becomes harder to make that better decision. But when you keep the top of the goals at the top of mind and know how it's going to make you feel and how it's going to support you, it makes the decision so much easier. But a lot of it comes down to the right knowledge, because people, like I said, do have the right intentions. And that's why I put together a fast food survival guide. So even if you're at Starbucks and you're like, oh, I don't know what to choose, right? I want the cake pop, but I'm thinking the egg whites. What do I choose? I have a full guide that I put together a little bit ago that's going to help you out. So make sure to click. It's going to be the second link down below. You can get that completely free. It shows you how to navigate restaurants, trips, make good decisions on the go. And I feel like you'll really learn a lot and you'll have more knowledge to be able to make the right decisions going forward.
Yeah, and circling back to what Kyle said at the start, I think a lot of it is your intention, and you need to ask yourself, what is the experience you're having? If you go to Chick-fil-A at the end of your son's soccer season, you go get an ice cream and you're really excited to have it, and the only one that's close to you is an hour away and you never go there, like, you can save more calories and you can have more fun options and you can make it fit in. But like, to this question, it's like, what are some consistent options? I'm always on the road. I want healthy food. And like Kyle said, the reason we've always said, okay, when we work together, we have to eat healthy food, because right away, if we ate garbage, like the amount of times we've done that and we've had work days together, like it would be horrible. The compounding of that would be so negative. But for us, always selecting a healthy option, now it's what we do. It's routine, it's commonplace, it's habit, and it just takes the guesswork out of it. And for me especially, I really like a simple healthy breakfast, a healthier fun lunch, even if I'm grabbing it to go. And like right away, your day feels so much better, your energy feels better. I feel you get a lot less of lethargy later on. But it's not to say like you can never have a burger and fries again. And that's where logging your calories is so good too, because you can play with things and fit it in. If you've been super diligent with your breakfast and your lunch and you're going out for dinner with friends and you're going to your favorite burger spot and you want a burger and a milkshake and you're like, okay, I can't fit the fries, like you can do that. And that's where we like the 80-20 rule. So our whole thing is we like people to be able, our clients to be able to eat whatever they want and lose weight. Now, of course, there's restrictions to that. It's very much like a budget. You can splurge in one area, but you may need to take away from others. And that's where you can have balance, because I think it's unrealistic to assume you'll never eat a fun food again or have something that's a little bit more caloric. But as a whole, especially for like just a common everyday lunch, you want to ask yourself, like, am I creating good habits? Because just the same, if your Chipotle order is always like the most caloric, most intense, it's going to be hard for you to deviate away from that. So that's where even for me, like I try to be careful with what I have. And to Kyle's point with Chipotle, like they'll do all these fun extra meats that are really oily and like the honey hot chicken and all this stuff. And it's not to say you can't, it's just like, for me, it's kind of like, ooh, do I want to like start that rabbit hole instead of just having my bread and butter? Like this is almost max quality it can be. But there are so many good foods like Chipotle. You can absolutely make work. You can also make it crazy caloric. Cava is another great option. I think if you search healthy foods or healthy bowls, like there's a million of them now. You can look them up, see what the reviews are. You can go to their nutrition calculators. You can begin to kind of curate that out. There's also like niche health shops that will have different foods. And there's definitely more options for healthy eating. I find like the fast casuals are the best, like where you sit down, but it's still served quickly. The drive-through places, and I know like Chipotle, some places has a drive-through, but like typically your Wendy's, your McDonald's, those aren't going to be your easiest to navigate, right? The food quality is going to be much lower. So like Kyle said, always lean for like having a big source of lean protein where you can get in a bulk amount of protein, a lot of veggie, a healthy carb, and you're going to be pretty set.
Honestly, like most places you'll be able to find something. Like the truth is you can, right? And I look at my local, it's like a drive-in place. It's funny because it's so important to think about the habits and what you can create based off of a habit. And even I've been there a few times, but I remember like probably 5 years ago before I really knew about it, I had a burger and it was just so fatty and it wasn't that good. So I just didn't care for it. But now whenever I go back, I just get literally one chicken souvlaki wrap. They load on the chicken, so it's amazing. Yes, there's oil. Yes, there's tzatziki. But what's cool is like I said, like Josh said about flexible dieting, is you can find ways to make it work. But a lot of times you have to ask yourself what's worth it, right? Because there are some places where if it's something I've been thinking about for a month and I haven't been there, I'm like, you know what? Okay, there's this cool pasta spot. I'm going out, like it's an actual dinner type of thing. But when you're thinking of these casual, like, hey, I've got like a little bit of time and I just wasn't prepared, what do I grab? You can always find the right choice. And just when you are typically looking for chicken, or even this place, like Josh had one time and I was like, man, I need to get that. It was literally just a Greek salad with like a lot of chicken on top. I'm like, yes, that's amazing. But when you look at the menu, there's milkshakes, there's so many other things on there. And that's what the average person, like 99% of people will be grabbing, is the fatty burger. with a bunch of fries that, are kind of okay, but not as great, and then a milkshake. And it's like, yeah, like we just went to the same place, but look at the two different choices. So once again, it's not to compare. It's not about being better than anyone, but it's about how do I navigate to be able to go out to make good choices, to succeed for the rest of my life. And that's why I feel so confident when I go out to be able to look at a menu, to choose the right stuff, but also still stay on track. And that is super important when it comes to long-term success.